For in soccer especially, this is a big problem because it's very difficult to get a standardization, especially when we make the test. It's very complicated to have always the same condition, and so the data cannot be reliable. And for us, go to the coach and propose numbers became very complicated. Secondly, all the evaluation we do had to avoid absolutely the error of the people that make the test or the evaluation or the measurement of the single training, because if we use different kind of way to collect data, of course we have many issues. The main problem now is related to the technological system. Even the technological system needs a validation, and especially in the last decade, all the systems that we use are working a lot to publish their validation and to be able to use the data in a long period, and to try to have the inter and intra validity. So, for example, an example can be the possibility to share the data of the game with the data of the training. If we use the same system, it's very easy to have this validation. Otherwise, it became very complicated if we use two different systems to compare the data of the game to the data of the match. And as last, that is more related to this talk, the database has to have a direction, and we have to build something that is give us the possibility to link this information and to be useful to all the coaching staff and the stakeholders that works in this environment. What is now the situation in elite soccer? At this, we have to take into account that especially the performance is changing a lot. This is a study of 2014. But in the last 3 or 4 years, the data are changing a lot. You see that the increasing of the intensity is very important, and so our job is even to be up to date to all the variation that we have in the performance model. What we tried to publish in 2017 is something that is try to take into account all the KPIs that are present in football. That is not only the physical aspect, but all the situation has to be merged in an environment that is football. And so we try to build some index that put together the technical and physical efficiency, and we tried to see what is the weight of each index in elite football, and we saw that how the technical aspect has the main, of course, the main role, but the physical aspects contribute not so much as intensity, but as efficiency. Secondly, we can what we took into account is the possibility to have inside the algorithm we use for the technical efficiency, the possibility to share, to detect the parameters that is changing a lot in a follow-up, that is the medium or long period. And we saw how one player really can improve in a long period, even looking at a specific parameter. And this is the most important for us, the possibility to detect the parameter that to make the difference for each player. Other things is more related to how we use the data, because now going to the big data concept in football, all the platform provide a lot of data, a lot of number, but I go back to my incipit. The most important is to have useful information. So we tried to publish this paper in 2019, where we tried to put together all this information that are the same direction, and we use a principal component analysis that, of course, I know that in this environment for all of you is a very easy tool, but in football, especially in sport, This tool helps us a lot to reduce the number of parameters and to get a cluster of data that can be useful to better understand what we are looking for. And finally, we built some latent variable, so the variable that we can classify inside a cluster, as I said, to give really the weight of each variable inside the single position. This is most important for us because now the football is going more and more in an individual perspective for the physical coach. We have to be able to individualize inside the collective context. So this is what we try to explain in our article, in one of our articles in 2019. But in this slide, I show how the complexity of football can give a lot of issues in when we have to translate information by the numbers. As you can see in this slide, the dark black in the middle is the average of all the team, but you can see here how the variation of each position give us the possibility or the issue to translate when we are speaking about a single player, the performance model in information for the training. And as Bradley said in 2018, is not the high intensity the key of our activity, but all the information has to be related to all the situations that are important in this sport, dividing the two phases, dividing the possibility to understand situation by situation, and to split each situation to be able to transform the data and information useful for the training. For example, we are useful now for the coach if we are able to split the 2-3 minutes that give us the most important information to be translated to the trainings. But the very complex world of data for us needs to be simplified. And then I try to find something that gives me the chance to reduce the information and to be able to transform in trainings and to be able to read really what happened in the world of football. And then I start to have a look to the data mining, and this slide for me is what changed really in my vision of training. So I try to build some clustering, so try to divide data by their similarity, and going on to the classification, to easy analysis that are the regression analysis, and but the most important for us was the ability to summarize all and to detect the information when it give us some changing in the trend. At the end, the most important thing for us is to be able to anticipate the issue, and then this slide for me give me the possibility to change my way to think about training. Yeah, this is a slide that I built with all the coaches I worked, and then it's very important for us to have the ability to individualize. Here is more related to tactical point of view, but it doesn't change anything about the approach. We have to try to have a look to all the situations that are related to the single part of the game, and to split each part to analyze and give back to the coach the information useful in the moment of the request of the coach, because in our job can be important to separate 1 minute of the game and to find exactly the key of that situation. Going deeply and making an example, we speak about key passes because it's one of the most important tasks in the game. And we try to classify, to give the weight of each pass, because each pass is never related to one another. So we have to find a way to give a different weight. And all of this, of course, cannot be done by us looking the game one by one, but we have to find a way to standardize this. And of course, the way is absolutely to use some artificial intelligence that can give us the possibility to go to a system that doesn't need our intervention step by step, but we need only to set the machine to understand to try to build a follow-up in a long period. And we arrived to this classification that puts together physical and technical tactical aspects. I don't go too much deep on each square you see, but for us it was very important to have a look on each parameter. Of course, I'm not speaking about something that we are using here where I'm working now, but this is my personal idea. I built in my experience in 10 years in professional football, and the possibility to put this inside one software that is able to read how we want to read the games is the crucial aspect to bring this into the training and to follow individually and collectively the team. Then I started to study some easy statistical aspect. I think is online one of my teacher of the life about statistics, the Prof. Bruno Ruscello, that I thank for his unbelievable knowledge that he's able to share with me. And I arrived to start to understand this easy for you, I know, very easy tool, but for us was very important to try to put together to find a relationship between variables. And we try to build something easily. This is not more than one macro Excel that gives us the possibility to put together data. And about using this, speaking more about physiological aspect, we are able to follow up our training load in the long period, and this is something that we are using very in a daily basis, because the possibility to follow up what is the response of the player to which load we propose is one of the main goals of a physical coach. And using easy tool, easy equation to estimate the relationship between the external load and the internal load, we started to build something that I will show you in 5 minutes. That give us the possibility to put together the external and internal load to understand really the situation of the player. This is one example of another tool we use, the classification tree. For us, is very important. We use this kind of approach to understand the main aspect we want to follow, and of course the numbers we put inside the machine give us the possibility to detect the main topics we want to follow. In this study, for example, we found that we have, as you can see in the right side of the slide, we detect that the player or the situation where we have more than 2 acceleration in high intensity showed how the shoot on target as the 100% of success. This, of course, is something that I show because is unique. Is not a rule, but is only to show how the using of the data can be important to evaluate each situation. And we arrive to the topic that is very crucial for us, the ability to summarize. So going to the big data, to a single information. We have to be able to compact all the information and give to the coach one number, only one information that can be a decision-making process for the people that make the decision, because in football it's the coach that makes the decision. So we have to be able to provide him information that can give the possibility to reduce as much as possible the possibility of mistakes. But this is the question that since 10 years I saw, I think who is in the football world see every day, who works at highest intensity. The answer is obviously no. There is no data that take that has found relationship between winning a game and specific intensity. But in details, I found in my experience in Qatar, for example, I'm showing data that 4 years in working in Qatar as performance analyst. As you can see in this slide, for example, our data show how there is no one relationship between the total distance scored and the winning of the game. So you can see we did more, we did less the total distance, but there is no relationship with the score. Same thing is this is one thing that I always show, because is something that happened only in my team maybe, but is very important to see. As you can see here, we in all the game of the league, we were the team that work more, so we perform less, more lower intensity. But as you can see, sometimes we won, sometimes we win, sometimes we draw. So there is no one relationship with the score. Then we try to put together more information to understand if going to the details, we can find something that we can reproduce in the training. And even here, we didn't find a lot of relationship between parameters that are related to the technical-tactical area and parameters that are more physical specific. As you can see in this slide, the only relation we found is that if you have a recovery time between high intensity action that is higher than your team, you have big possibility to lose the game. So the recovery time, so the specific low intensity, is the only parameters that is related to the score. So I know that this can seem something could seem a little bit strange, but this is what happened in football. So I put this brain here. If we going very deeper in the analysis of the data, we risk to burn our brain, because it's very complicated to find a solution. And same thing happened in the trainings. We have to choose the best indicator to have the idea of the training load, and we have to build our individual follow-up. As you can see in this slide, we have an example, one player I had in Salernitana last season, which is a very congested period, where he trained with a very different kind of intensity. This is the number of pauses of each training, numbers of low intensity inside the exercise each training, and there are 2 periods very different for him. There are 2 months where he did a lot of up and down in the pauses, and there is a period where he reduced a lot this kind of parameter, of course, because of the changing of the methodology of the coach. And obviously, what I can say that in the first period, he had the 4 injuries related to the difference between the training and the performance in the performance in the game. And in the second period, where our attention was more in reducing the pause between the exercise, the trend of the player changing significantly. So we saw how the adaptation of the player was, and the problem was related to the kind of methodology we were using, and we have to reduce the pause to go more closer to the performance model. So in this is one article is in a way of publication. We were trying to put together all the parameters. So we try to speak about accumulated training load. So we put together a period of 2 months about some parameter of external load relating to some parameter of the blood. So we did the blood analysis, and some parameters that are related to performance test. And what we saw is that even doing with analysis, there is no one rule, no one exact point of view that we can take into account. But the interesting thing is that having that implementing, so that having more data, reducing the period of accumulation, we find more reliability. So this information is very important to understand how to manage the data. It seems that it's necessary to have data more frequently, especially in the blood analysis, to have an idea of how we can manage each player. So we arrived to a point where we try to choose some key performance indicator that could be important for us to make decision. And what we arrived to the end is to put together this parameter I show in this formula. So metabolic power average, the acceleration load, and the ratio between testosterone and cortisol, and the summary and the sum of the RP period, dividing by the training time. For us, this formula is giving us some information that can be translated to the coach with only one number. It's still of course a work in progress. It's not something that we could say that is finally our last formula we will use, but it's something that we would like to implement in the future, using the data mining, using the machine learning process algorithms that can be useful for us to really evaluate the load in the long period. And of course, the machine learning, as all of you know, is something that has to be managed by the human being, and so we have to be able to provide the right KPIs that can be detected of the information we want to get. This slide for me is the most important slide for as maybe all the organization know here. Since a long time, I'm trying to find the outliers, so to find inside the data set the information that can give me the possibility to readjust my way in the trainings. So find inside the algorithm the possibility to have the alarm when the player is out of his training weight. So when we are too much far from his use, inside is the day we are looking for, the goal we want from the physiological point of view. And using the Grubbs test, we are able to detect something. Even this is something that is in process. We are working on it, but we are getting some good result finally. And so to go deeply in the data management, that is the topic of this talk, we built the possibility to follow the player from different point of view, inside the position, between positions, so to understand inside the team which kind of difference we have, to understand the variability inside our team, so how we can individualize according to the performance project of each player. And the other thing for us, very important, is to try to exclude possible reason of injury. We know that any kind of injury is multifactorial, so we have to try to exclude reason of injury. One of the injury can be mistakes in the proposal of the training load, so we have to try to exclude this. And what we did, for example, with this player, taking into account one of the parameters and putting in the equation I showed before, we found that in the period that you see inside the red circle, the player had a 15% of differences according to his use load. and as you can see, the red bar is the day of the injury. So for this player, it seems that this algorithm works well. So we are still working and trying to understand what we can include to be able to predict or to adjust our training according to this. What is very important for us, even in the RTT, so return to training, and RTP, return to play process, can be very important to follow up the 4 weeks before and 2 weeks after the return to training, return to play, to understand if the player is inside the parameters he had before going out to the team, and when he is able to go back to train, to full train, if we are in the same contest. And finally, the most important thing is to give information. We have to be able to study the performance and to understand the relation between or among variables, because a lot of the variables are hundreds, and we have to be able to understand how each parameter interacts with the others. And so yeah, I write here one easy sentence, easy question, but this is only one of the questions we post every day, and to try to understand what is our goal. And so our idea, as these authors propose in this important for me paper, we have to try to build something like this. So to understand, here is the case of the injury, but for us it's even important in the performance model. We have to try to build a classification tree able to understand the direction and to detect the rules we have to follow to better increment the performance of the player. This is for me one amazing paper, because we have to try to go in this direction. What I can say is that in football, this kind of information give a lot of most of the trainer of the coaches are afraid about that, but our goal and our mission has to be to bring the coaches in this direction, because we have to find scientifically the way to reduce our issue inside a big team. As you can see in this graph, the validity and reliability of the algorithm is going to grow. So we have to try to go in this direction. Of course, that big data management means to be able to put together more information, to train our algorithm, and to be ready to detect the final part, to detect where is the problem when each injury happens, or each peak of performance happens in our other way to see the same sessions. Then this is only the information we summarize using our formula, and we saw that there is this kind of classification. We can find this kind of way. If we are below 0.5, we have to individualize, trying to supplement something. Between 0.6 and 0.9, we found that we are close to a safety condition, so the player is going to grow his condition, but in a safety way. And if the equation gives more than 1, we have to take care, because maybe there is some parameter that is out of control. I guess I arrived to the end of my presentation. I thank all of you, but I try to always remember that big data in football, speaking of course about only my sector of work, has to become one important information. I put one in red because we have to be able from million number to give one information, because at the end in our sport, unfortunately, the only important for the majority of the people is this one you see in this picture. thanks a lot for the possibility to share my experience, and I hope it is useful for all of you. And I am available to any question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Cristoforo, for your amazing speech and for sharing your works and your expertise in during football training. So I have a question for you about the formula. It is a very interesting approach to validate your training load and to evaluate the status of your players. So this formula is already validated. You are thinking about to publish some work about this formula and how machine learning approach could improve or validate your intuition.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for the question. Yes, what I can say that the formula is still not published. We are working on it. We need more information. We need more trials to understand if the formula can be validated. But yeah, of course, the machine learning for us is a street we can follow to arrive to this goal. And the most important thing is to give the possibility to the decision-making process to be valid, because the main problem now in football is to have some tools that is valid and reliable. So we are going in this direction. What I have to be sure that everything is clear. Of course, this formula is more related to external internal load parameters that are not the only parameter we have to follow, but we are going step by step to arrive to the most important parameters that we can use to enter inside one machine learning process to have the highest reliability as possible.
Okay.
May I ask Alessio, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, first, there is a question from the audience. Maybe we can start from that.
Yeah.
Marco is asking, can you share some information about the device that you use at Paris Saint-Germain for monitoring all the parameters you were talking about before?
Yeah, it's not so easy to share exactly the tools we are using, but what I can say is that all the big clubs, including the club where I am now, are starting to be open to this kind of tools. We are working on it. We are trying to find the best solution. The main problem we face now is related to the different tools we use for the different kind of monitorization. So we have to try. Now we are in a phase where we have to try to put together of the different systems. So as you know, if we take some system from GPS that is from one company, and we have the information of the camera that is for another company, of course we cannot make comparison between this data. So now there is a work that is a preliminary work to be able to compare different kind of source. So now the situation is this. We are trying to find a way. There are now many providers that are working on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all big data treatment. But still now we are in a process that we have to find the validity and reliability that is still not so accurate.
Thank you very much. And my question was about the relationships between your role in a club and the coach. You say that the coach is the person that actually makes decisions in the club. Yeah. My question is, when you propose your statistics, your predictions, and eventually your explanations about those predictions, do they trust you in a sense? They consider the machine's suggestion, or the coaches are still in the phase in Italy and abroad of not trusting algorithms, artificial intelligence, statistics, and whatever?
Yeah, it's depending on which kind of coach you are facing, because for example, in my career I found coaches that because of their age, they believe more on their experience, and they didn't know any kind of data monitoring, and so it was very difficult for me to move their attention to this kind of tools. But fortunately, in the last period, I found different coaches that are looking more deeply to this kind of tools. And so now I think in the future, I think already in UK a lot, but in Italy a little bit with more difficult. But all the coaches, the new coaches, the young coaches are opening their approach to different kind of tools. And what I feel now, working day by day, not only I'm not speaking only about my actual work, but speaking around with the people of our world, is arrived the moment where, because of the commitment we have every day, we need some tool that give us the possibility to be on the in front of the laptop the lowest time as possible, because we need to get information in a fast way, and we have to be able to be fast and productive for the coaches. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to show how this kind of tools can be useful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are some other questions. Maybe Paolo, maybe you can.
Yeah, since we are already going through this path, I would ask something more regarding data quality, because you presented us, you introduced us different type of data collected with different types of device. Now you have manual devices, so manual tracking, optical tracking, wearable sensors. So there are the plethora of sensors probably is a proxy of the complexity of the game, and of the complexity of collecting data from the game, from the training session. So in your opinion, which technology will be the game changer? So in this case, it's actually a game changer in soccer. So there will be one ruling them all, or it will be something more mixed?
I think the direction we have to take is to mix all the information to be able to control as much aspect as possible, because we cannot only think to control the training load only with the external load, because it's something that is related to what we are proposing, but we don't know how each player can respond. So we have this kind of problem. We cannot think only to control the player with, for example, the blood analysis, because we know that according to when you take this kind of parameters can be a lot of variability. So we have to find, as I said, I think in the presentation, we have to be able to standardize as much as possible, and to be and football is very complicated, and to arrive in a way where the machine learning process, which if we can call like this, is one process that is stable, because we are providing him data that are taking with the criteria. So this is the most important aspect for me. And the game changer, the game changer can be something that is able to do that. So I know that will be not easy, but we have, in my opinion, we have to go in this direction, because it's the only way for me to control all the complexity of the sport. I think it's not only football; it's all the team sports. It's very complicated to have a tool that is able to discriminate all these parameters. So really, one day we will be able to have a software that is stable, able to control all this information. We can say that we arrived to the real game changer for soccer, I think.
Thank you. There are actually many questions from the audience. Let me try to summarize a couple of them. The first one is how long it takes to put your findings in practice, that is, to explain what you do to your staff, to include your findings or your techniques into the trainings and so on and so forth. And the second one is more curious, is are the athletes actually aware of the fact that they are so deeply investigated, studied, and observed?
No, the first question. I think some of you knows this answer, because to transfer theory in practice, I needed maybe 10 years, but now we are in a point where the percentage of knowledge we can transfer from the theory to practice is improving day by day. So the most important thing is to build a platform that is that contain all the information we want to control, and with all the criteria we said before, we have to be able to go on and to try to test our tool day by day. The second question, remind me, please.
The second one is about, are the players
aware
of the fact that they are so deeply studied and served?
Yeah, the players, in my experience, we have to be able to take them away from this kind of things. We have to try to control them without involving them too much, because you know, football, especially at top level, is a stressful environment, and we cannot give too much weight to this kind of information when we are with them, but we have to be able to extract this information, speak about that out of the moments when the player are involved. So my experience is that we have to take away the players from this kind of issues, because otherwise can be even a problem for our data collection.
I see. Maybe there are so many questions, we don't have time, unfortunately, to answer all of them. Maybe we can conclude with the last question about your experience. So what is the big difference? You worked mainly for the last years for PSG and for Salernitana, right? So one is the first one is a very top club, Europe, and while Salernitana is the second division. So from the perspective of your work, and in particular to the usage of technology and algorithms in your work, what is the main difference between what Salernitana and PSG, but in general a non-top club and a top club?
Yep, this is a very interesting question, because in our world, in our position, we have to be able to use the tools we have as much as we can, and we try to get from them the maximum result. The most important difference I found is related to the way you use the data, because for example, the advantage you can have in a second division club, that you are almost alone to decide or to bring the information to the coach that has to decide. So this can be an advantage, but of course, as you know, for example, all we spoke about today is very difficult to install in a club like that, because today these kind of tools have a lot of needs a lot of investment, and the club of second division are not able to do that. So unfortunately, this is a problem here. We have the possibility to do everything, so the difference is very big. But still, maybe I repeat what I said before, but still the most important thing for me, the most important aspect, is to be able to find a way to connect all the professional profiles to go in the same direction. So maybe it's not enough to have the economical resource to invest if you are not in an environment that give you the possibility to go in a street that you try to cover, you know, in a long period. So I think the most important aspect is to find an environment that give you the possibility to follow and to believe in your experience and your data to build this kind of tools.
Thank you very much. Well, I think it's 5, right? So we are perfectly in time to close. Alessio.
Yes, unfortunately, the time is already over, so we can stay here some hour to speak about this interesting topic, but we have to conclude here. Thanks also to SoBigData that permits to do this interesting webinar. And there isn't other one in a few months, and we continue to do other webinar about this interesting topic. And thank you, Cristoforo, for your speech, a very interesting speech. If the audience want to speak about you, you will share your email at the end of the presentation, so we can contact directly for you to other questions. So thank you very much for all of you, and see you the next time for the next SoBigData webinar about sports.
Thank you to all of you for the attendance and the patience to hear my experience. Thank you so much.
Grazie Cristoforo, thank you very much.
Grazie a tutti.
Bye bye.